everybody. Welcome back to the Covenant Eyes podcast. We're so glad to have you joining us. We have got one of our very favorite guests joining us for this conversation today. She is a pioneer in addressing women's struggles with pornography and sex addiction through her efforts at She Recovery and so much more. She is a rock star. Crystal, how are you? And welcome back.
I'm doing well. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Rob, for having me on. Always love to be with you guys.
Absolutely. Rob, I know that over the years, gosh, it's been so many years, we've had a lot of great conversations with Crystal, and every time she just brings the heat and brings the wisdom.
Oh, absolutely. It's wonderful to have you back today.
Yeah. Well, Crystal, what have you been up to lately? I know that you are busy, always working on new projects and new resources for women, and you have been actively doing coaching programs for many, many years. So talk to us a little bit about what you've been doing.
Well, as of most recently, we are just about to launch our very first She recovery coaching certification program. So it's our pilot that we're really trying to get other people trained in the kind of work that we do, so that they can start groups in their churches or help counselors to be able to have a little extra credential, whatever that might look like, just to branch out beyond just what we do, but to have other people doing what we do in the same way, because we can only reach so many people as far as helping women across the world and around the country. And so that program is coming up at the time of this recording. We're about to launch it, so hopefully there's more information available for that at this time as well.
That's awesome. So you're really creating a discipleship model where you train up others that can take this torch and move it forward. Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, that is the idea behind it, is that we have our team, and our team will hopefully keep growing, but we would love to just be able to, like you said, disciple others to do this work in the way that we do it, where we're anti-shame and wholeness focused, and be able to help women to find the healing that they need.
Yeah, I think that's one of your keys. I mean, you often talk about, just that holistic healing, that body, mind, and spirit all in one. So what does that look like when you're helping listeners? What does that concept look like for them?
Yeah, when people first come to us, or women first come to us, I think there's so much emphasis on maybe the body perspective. So body, mind, and spirit is kind of the holistic approach we take, but there's so much emphasis on the body. I want to stop acting out. I want to stop watching porn. I want to stop the compulsive masturbation. And it's so much focused on the what they're doing as opposed to why they're doing it. And so the holistic approach to recovery is helping you to navigate to the why and heal the why, so that you don't have to go back to these behaviors again. Not just these behaviors, but any new coping behaviors that may come out. Because we know with addiction that transference is a thing, that you could have one addiction, master it, get over it, but really you're just onto something new. And so a wholeness model is about helping you to no longer have to have a coping behavior at all. And so body, mind, and spirit, it's working on the brokenness of your body, because it is broken. If you're using compulsive masturbation, or you are just disordered in your sexuality in general, like your body is broken. But also spiritually, you're broken, and emotionally, you're broken. And usually the why component is something emotional. And so you're using an emotional avenue, pornography, whatever, to heal an emotional issue, but it's not going to heal you. So you're trying to fix an emotional problem with something that can't possibly fix it. So we like to work on the why in terms of that. And of course, we are from a faith-based perspective. So the spiritual component obviously is to have a surrendered heart to Christ and really give him your whole self, surrendering fully to him so that he can do the healing work in your life as well. So
I love that wholeness model, Crystal. That's beautiful, and I think it's so needed. You've been doing this work for quite some time, and I know that you have worked with so many women across all demographics, all age groups. Just talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing as far as changes in how women are struggling, maybe with, technology now playing a bigger factor in our struggles, whereas maybe 20, I don't think you've been doing this 20 years. You're not even that age. You're way young. But But, you know, like a decade ago, perhaps, where, you know, technology was just kind of coming of age and things were a little different. What have you seen?
Yeah, well, to put that in perspective, I am 40. I turned 40 last
Oh,
year.
well, you don't look it.
And so my exposure to pornography was a magazine. So that's you know, what's a magazine? Like nobody even knows what a magazine is anymore. It's paper, like magazines. And so, but for so many, and looking at the Barna stats, you know, the Barna data from last year talks about the fact that, you know, let's say 40% of Christian women say they're viewing porn, but to break that down into younger generations, millennials was 62% and Gen Z was 64% of women. And so I'm an elder millennial. I'd rather be a Gen X, honestly, because they were so much cooler. But I'm an elder millennial. But so for me, finding it started with a magazine, but then progressed to technology. Whereas, you know, now younger millennials or the Gen Zers, they were just exposed with technology. And so I think when you're talking about technology and the rise of technology, we have these phones and tablets and gaming consoles and all these things that are in front of us all the time. Social media, the risk of exposure is so much higher because you're thinking about this in terms of like the likelihood that I would be exposed at 10 years old with a magazine was actually fairly low. Like that, maybe from a uncle or a grandparent, but my brother, I had older brothers, so that was a little bit of a higher risk factor to be exposed with a magazine. But to be exposed through technology is like easy. It's so easy. Just ads popping up, mistyping something in a Google search, you know, whatever, like you can be bombarded by it. And so for the women that come to us, we have a wide range of ages that come to us. We have women in their 70s and then women who are teens who are doing our coaching stuff. And so we have the wide range, but I would say we are seeing more and more of that millennial Gen Z kind of, we just did an intensive group over the last 90 days, and the youngest was 21 and the oldest was in her 50s, but the brunt were in that, you know, 35 to 45, that millennial age. And they were all talking about how they were exposed to pornography through the internet, like pretty much all of them. And so with the exception of the oldest one who was, you know, had sexual abuse in her background and was more paper related as the start. But that younger generation, mine and younger, is technology. And you guys are seeing that at Covenant Eyes for sure too. Families being wrecked by this. And so we do see that a lot. I think technology plays a huge role in it. In terms of She Recovery, you know, I started She Recovery at that time. It was Dirty Girls Ministries, out of a desire to redeem technology, to redeem the internet. Because even for me, even though I was exposed to porn, you know, through a magazine, it quickly became dial-up internet and the regular internet, and I was using it online for years. And so for me, it was like, how do I take this space, this place that is for so many women is a danger zone. Even being online can be triggering to women who are trying to enter and trying to be in recovery. How do I take this triggering place and redeem it? And so that's why all of our services are virtual, so that you can go online and know that you can get a resource that's going to help you and not hurt you.
Most people don't know how to measure whether porn is a problem. Well, now you can. Hi, I'm Mike Stone, producer of the Covenant Eyes podcast. At Covenant Eyes, we have created a short, free, and confidential assessment called the Pause Test. That's Porn Addiction Use Severity. It's not about judgment, it's about understanding. So in just a few minutes, you'll get clarity on where you stand and what your next step could be. So take the free test now at cvnteyes.co/test. That's cvnteyes.co/test. Super short, super simple. Now you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Now back to the show.
That's so good. I love the redemption of technology part. I think that's so important, and we have the same mission here at Covenant Eyes, of course. You know, I think it's fascinating too, because the way that you integrate using technology to connect women all over the country, maybe even all across the globe. I'm not sure if you're expanding in that realm, but yeah, I just think it's amazing that you're able to bring them together, because no matter where we are in the country or what our backgrounds are, our struggles and our exposures are seemingly relatively similar. I mean, we are, especially if you're younger than, 45, you are seeing this stuff pushed into your face nonstop in technology. How are you teaching people to navigate? Because, I mean, we have to work. A lot of us have to work. A lot of us have to go online for our jobs, and, we just have to live our lives. We need to stay connected. How are you teaching your women to navigate that carefully and with integrity? Because it can be really hard.
Yeah, obviously we recommend Covenant Eyes as pretty much exclusively in terms of an accountability software. And for those who need filtering, that's there as well. But I think for us, you have to learn how to live in the world, but not be of the world. We talk about that a lot in Christian circles. And so we have to kind of be a part of the internet without being in the internet, or be the internet or not being a part of the internet. And so it's kind of similar, where you just really have to be mindful of what you're allowing in. And so that can be is Instagram the best place for you in early recovery? Because while porn's not allowed on Instagram, as far as rules, it's still there. There's still plenty of content that is triggering and inappropriate. And so it's asking yourself, you can't live in a bubble, because we all have to work and live and be a part of the culture. But we don't have to be just inundated by it. And so for them, it's a lot of what steps can you take to safeguard yourself. And so for early recovery, it might be that you're not on social media. It might be that you're using Covenant Eyes for the rest of what you're doing, screen accountability, making sure you have a support system in place, because you can't do it by yourself. So So you can try to have recovery by yourself, but who's really going to hold you accountable? If you were able to hold yourself accountable, you would have by now. And so being able to be so big a part of our groups and our community, you have kind of a built-in system to have people you can reach out to when you're struggling, but also who might get your report from Covenant Eyes and be able to reach out to you and say, hey, are you struggling right now? What's going on? And so for them, it's going to be navigating technology in whatever boundaries they need and wherever they are in their recovery.
Another aspect, Crystal, with so many women that we've talked with over the years, that heightened sense of isolation and a shame, kind of thinking that this is a men's issue that I'm struggling with. In the church, we have been slow to really kind of recognize the struggle that so many women are going through. Do you feel that's beginning to change a little bit? Is that improving, or where is that issue right now for a lot of women?
It's fun. I was listening to you ask a question. I'm thinking about, how long I've been doing podcast interviews or how long I've done radio interviews, and people ask me that same question. And it seems like every time I'm asked, it's like, well, the church could do more. The church could do better. And I still feel that way. I think about the demographics of women who come to us at She Recovery, and let's say, 95% of them are Christian. They are finding us not from the church. They're not learning about us from the church. They're learning about us from social media, a Google search. They're online and they're looking for help. Maybe a counselor knows about us. We get a lot of referrals from counseling agencies as well, which is great. But they're not being told, I heard about it from my church. And so I'm not saying that the churches need to be advertising us, but at the same time, they need to be not advertising, but talking about pornography, talking about sex, not all from the male perspective, but that this is an issue of both men and women. I could see, just to answer your question, I think I do see some improvement in that. I know I've seen some, in our website demographics, or our stats, we'll see some links from churches. So some churches are kind of having a resource page, and they're kind of showing options of how to get help. Covenant Eyes is on a lot of church sites. I've seen that. And then I'm also seeing every once in a while, a lady will come to us and say, my church wants to sponsor my coaching, or wants to sponsor my counseling, or wants to sponsor my membership. And so that is, I'm not sure if it's the church that is instigating that, or that person's just asking for help. And so the church is willing to provide that resource for them. But so in that way, I am seeing improvement. But of course, there's much, much, much room for improvement. As a whole.
Yeah, I hope someday we have you on the podcast and actually the conversation is different. You have a completely new answer for us. Like, the churches are doing so much. We're
much
flooded and we can't even keep up. We are helping so many women. I mean, that is really, seriously though, that is our prayer, because it is discouraging sometimes to just know that, you joked about advertising these programs, and it's like, but, I mean, we see and there's no downfall at all, but Dave Ramsey's, Financial Peace University, they promote those things. These are programs that actually help change lives as well. And so I think churches can embrace the idea of promoting your organization in that way, because really it's not something that's not, I look to my pastor for ideas on good books to read, or if he mentions a film that he saw that he thought was really a quality Christian film, I will watch that. So I think there is a role that the church can promote programs. I mean, advertise, no, but, definitely having resource pages. I love that. So it's good to hear that there are some churches doing that. If a church is listening, or a church leader, or maybe just a lay leader is listening that wants to engage with connecting you to their church or their ministry programs, how could they reach out to you, Crystal?
I mean, honestly, the easiest way is just through our website at sherecovery.com. We can send you some resources. So if you're wanting brochures or business cards, something more tangible you can hand out, we can be happy to send those to you. But ultimately, just a link, a QR code on your big screen, that's enough. Just to say these are resources that are available, and check them out as you need. So
absolutely, that's a great idea. And, as you know, pornography is completely devastating marriages. And now that there are so many Christian women struggling with pornography, we are seeing marriages where both parties have pornography in their history or in the present. How is that changing the dynamic of marriages for young people? Are you seeing that in your work, working with women?
Yeah, I was just talking about this recently, that we've always been really predominantly single women at She Recovery, but I'm seeing more and more married women coming forward. Initially, I think, I'm not sure if it's an increase so much as it's maybe a new comfort maybe that's coming forward. Because I know before it felt like women were coming to us because there was a lot of shame associated with just... because so much of the Christian mind or Christian culture is like, well, I am married now, I shouldn't have a porn problem. Whereas if you're single, it's almost an excuse. There's a little bit of that kind of that tension. And so I think a lot of married women have not come forward, one, because they think they feel even more shame because they are married. And so I'm married now, I shouldn't be watching porn. This should be taken care of by now. Whereas the other side of that, I think, might be joint banking accounts and just not wanting to expose themselves for getting the support that they need. Their husband maybe not know about their struggle, and so they're not wanting to kind of expose what they're doing financially. But I think we're seeing a little bit more bravery. A little more bravery maybe, but also because there is the tension or the dynamic of both are struggling, maybe there's a little bit more safety in the... Now my husband has confessed, so now I can confess. It's kind of a duality there. So we're seeing that as well. I do see within our practice, a lot of couples coming in now, which could be, and I'm not privy to those sessions for as far as the ones who are getting the couples coaching, but from what I can guess, it's a lot of mediation. It's a lot of conversations about why she's struggling, how he can support her. If he's struggling, how can she support him? Things like that. And so so to answer your question more briefly, yes, I am seeing more wives, and I don't know I don't know the reason or the why, other than the increase of women watching porn is probably coming as part of that.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, Crystal, as we kind of begin to wrap up here today, do you have any final words that you would love to say to maybe some listeners that are out there right now that are struggling, that are just kind of in silence and shame? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I'm actually going to share a scripture if I can. Psalm 34:5 is, "Those who look for him for help will be radiant with joy. No shadow of shame will darken their faces." And my whole approach has always been, again, the anti-shame. Like, if you're struggling, I know what you're feeling, because I have felt that feeling. I know exactly what that feeling feels like. And I know also that shame is so unhelpful. Shame is going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you in bondage to your addiction and your struggle. And so if you feel like you're alone, you're not alone. We talked about the stats already from Barna Group, like millions of women are struggling. You are just one of millions of women who are struggling, but you can be one of hopefully millions of women who can be set free, who can find wholeness, who can find healing. All you really have to do is seek it, and find resources that are going to be anti-shame, who are going to lift you up, but also not hold you where you are, but to implore you and empower you to heal. And so, yeah, and we would love to be a part of that if we can.
That's awesome. Crystal, we're going to bring today's episode to a close, but we want to make sure that our listeners know how to get in touch with your ministry. I know you mentioned your website earlier, and then are there any additional resources? I know you have books, things like that, that you can also point our listeners to in the closing statements.
Yeah, so sherecovery.com is where you can pretty much find everything that we have to offer, including our virtual coaching and counseling services. But also, books like 90 Days to Wholeness is available on there that I wrote. 90-day devotional that will walk you through the first 90 days of recovery, or 90 days again, depending on where you are in your recovery journey. It's also available for free on YouVersion, so there's no cost, no obligation. You can just hop on and do that, and go through recovery with faith-based in mind.
Crystal, again, thank you so much for joining us. And to our listeners, thank you for listening again today. Please share and like this, and look forward to seeing you again in the next episode. Thanks. Bye-bye.